Okay, I'd like to welcome to the show Ramsey Al Ramahi. He is one of the founders of RevReply. And Ramsey, thank you so much for joining our podcast today. How you doing?
Thank you so much, Scott, for having me. Good to see you. Thank you so much. I'm
Yeah,
doing
good
really
to see
well.
you.
I just got done telling you, I just came back from some travels, so relaxed and rejuvenated and can't be happier to be back home.
Great to hear. Today, let's talk a little bit about your company, RevReply. Just briefly tell the audience what that company's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So RevReply is, I'd like to think we're the first in the space. Nobody really ever talks about response management, right? Like response management is like, hey, leave it up to the SDR. In the world of AI, obviously, that should have changed a long time ago. We were the world's first hard-coded autoresponder that is able to handle everything from once a response comes in to a meeting complete, not just meeting booked. Every single nuance of a reply that you could imagine. And at first, we thought, hey, this is going to be the easiest tool to build. It's like low code automation, maybe. And we could just get it to act like a chat bot and just send a calendar link out. But we actually came out of our MVP pretty quickly and then and went to went out of beta pretty quickly, I should say. But within 2 months, we just got way too much feedback to the point where we realized there was so many nuances that we forgot that a lot of people will forget. That we went back in beta and then eventually about 5 months later, we came back out with a much stronger product. And so we've gone month over month since we came out of beta in November, which is incredible. All organic, 100% organic, without a single email being sent yet or any paid media at all. So there's something to be said about it, but it's a very powerful tool that's able to handle every single interaction to ensure that that meeting gets on the calendar.
Yeah, very cool. And what brought you to this point? Tell me a little bit about your background, where you came from before RevReply.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So look, I've been a part of a few YC companies, and probably most notably Apollo in the space, specifically. I had a global sales for Apollo from 2019 to 2021. I joined them when they were pretty much in the brink of bankruptcy at that point. They had just had a massive data breach. And if that happened today, people are like, oh, data, like what is data these days, right? It's like such a commodity these days. But 2019, you can imagine, 2018 is when it happened. That was a shock to the industry, well, at least against Apollo for the competitors' sake to be able to scare them off. But so turn the company around, it was first employee post breach. They shrunk from like 55, 56, 57 employees to 12 employees. I was lucky, number 13 as a hire in May of 2019. Geez. And so absolutely love the space, love what Apollo's been able to do. But I've always seen this massive gap in the space. All these platforms out there, as much as I love Apollo, Smartly, Instantly, Bison, Plus Vibe, Reach and Bot, I could go on and on and on. Like there's tons of different platforms out there. They're geared towards sending as many emails as possible. They're not geared to handle the responses. And if so, there's a lot of low code automations that people have built that just is able to, cool, here's a chatbot but it doesn't mean you're off the hook. You still have to be there, be present, and manage every aspect of that AI. So really just
There
more like
needs to
an
be
like
human
system.
intervention to manage the AI. Otherwise, you never know what mistake the AI may make before sending a reply. Is that the idea?
Yeah. And so we set on this adventure to be able to build this really robust autoresponder that's able to handle more of an agentic approach. And every nuance you could think of, we've covered at this point. Whether that's somebody saying, "Hey, I'm not interested," we could definitely dive into that and how that being able to convert a no to yes. To somebody says, "I'm traveling this week. Reach back out to me at the end of the week." AI is able to acknowledge that and be empathetic enough and understand like a real solid salesperson is not going to follow up at the end of the week after somebody's been traveling to schedule a call for next week. It's going to say, hey, here's my calendar link, but tell you what, I'll follow up with you the following week after you get back from your vacation, pretty much. You're in Portugal, I'm sure to enjoy X, Y, and Z. And I'll follow up accordingly if that person's not on the calendar because it's scanned the calendar. It's really able to act like human. We've induced it with every single sales methodology that you could think of, like Medic, Medpic, Spin, Challenger methodology, Sandler methodology, like you name it. We really injected all those methodologies so it could actually handle the process, could even qualify. So if okay, I don't want you to book a meeting unless somebody has, for example, is using Salesforce and has 100 employees or more, and it does $15 million in revenue. So you put that criteria in, it'll actually have a back and forth and collect that information dynamically, adaptively, And then once it sees that that person's qualified, that person matches that criteria, it will go on to book that meeting and ask for to close. I was going to ask for the close, but ask for the conversion of booking the meeting and propose actual times that are available on your calendar, and you can also schedule like through written form. So again, a very human-like interaction, but just takes a lot of that weight that like, look, I mean, Salesforce said it, years ago, I'm sure everybody's seen the stat. Reps spend 73% of their time doing non-sales activities.
Yeah.
This is part, right? Like this is something that you should be able to hand off to an AI. And you look at MIT, HubSpot, Harvard Business Review have all done studies. Inside Sales shows if you respond within 5 minutes or less, your chance of converting that into an opportunity increases at least 900%. HubSpot says 100x more likely, which is mind-boggling, to be honest with you. I have a hard, that's that 100x more likely to convert into an opportunity is really powerful of
Yeah.
a statement, and to be able to say that's what HubSpot says. Truly, I find that hard to believe. Needless to say, it's at the very least 900%, which is like what Harvard and MIT say. Speed to leads, it can make a deal, it could kill a deal. So it is really critical that you respond in a timely manner, but not just respond as a chatbot. People can read past that these days. You want to make sure it's very methodical and strategic.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. And you were doing that back at Apollo. Have you just evolved that thought process forward since?
Um, yeah, I think the lead gen in general, I love, just I love the space. Honestly, I just love sales performance. You closing a deal, I get giddy over it. Like it has nothing to do with me. It doesn't have a zero benefit for me. But I understand the game of sales, and I don't want to call it a game, but just like it's a skill set, right? I think there's a lot that goes into it, and if you do it right, it's like it's like any other professional athlete. Like, wow, that's an amazing play. And I think that world continues to change, especially with the world of AI. I think that's also the space and how it's changing too at the same time. Apollo wasn't built on AI. Smart Lead wasn't built on AI. Instantly wasn't built on AI. It's an afterthought because it's there and it's needed to be added, needs to be added as a future of that, because every company is an AI company now, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we are built on AI, right? And so I think I saw the opportunity that was, I look at where the biggest gap is. Where can I actually add value to be able to improve sales performance? If I could, improve your performance through our platform by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%, I'm ecstatic. I get a kick out of that. That's what I want to see. And so it's one of the very few areas when I look at and take a step back at. I have this this maybe childhood dream of always building something that is going to be that's going to be game changing for at least the industry that I love.
Yeah. Very cool.
I'm on track for that, hopefully.
Yeah. Good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. And when you start working with a client, how do you identify like what the company needs? Whether is it structural or is it more of a lack of execution? And how do you help identify that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Identifying the companies for us in this case is maybe a little easier because it's pretty much anybody doing any outbound, right? What the value really multiplies a lot more as people doing heavy amount of outbound. At the same time, though, same token is you have people who are like, hey, I do have a need for this, but I don't trust AI, right? Or I don't, I have my reps handling it, or I have had experience with AI and it wasn't good. So you have a lot of obstacles to overcome because it's easier to say, oh, we have a tool that does the email auto respond that replies to emails and make sure it gets on the calendar, whatever the pitch is, every nuance I could think of. But at the end of the day, people I think are still a little hesitant, but they're becoming. I think people are starting to understand and I like to understand there's a difference between good AI and bad AI, but we look for the people who have had some sort of experience with AI because I think that then they understand what the capabilities are, and every single person out there would go, oh, this is what I wish AI could do. And so those are the people who like, hey, this is what you wish AI could do. This is what we can do. Because you probably had some sort of experience with the AI that was bad. And it didn't achieve what you wanted. That's usually a good person for us to talk to. Usually it's going to be either, lead gen companies are obviously huge fans of ours, sales leaders, rev ops leaders, marketing leaders. We have decent amount of people who are in SDRs and AEs who use this as like, hey, like let RevReply take care of the more important heavy lifting, so I can focus on the relationship part that's even heavier, right? That AI can't do. So it allows them to focus their time and energy where it's needed to be, rather than on the mundane day-to-day tasks of making sure to draft a response, respond timely, and follow up accordingly until that meeting's booked.
You mentioned RevReply is a spinoff of your previous venture, RevGen. Talk about that just a little bit, and why you're focusing, why you decided to branch off a little and hyper focus, I guess. And then tell me
Yeah.
about any opportunities that you have there. Like what challenges do you have with the change in venture?
Yeah. So just this past month, we actually decided to split the companies up, RevReply and RevGen Labs, and go separate ways. Very amicably. It's all just following our passion. The RevGen Labs, and then RevReply was born out of RevGen Lab, but RevGen Labs is our lead gen agency. Scale that to 3 million in 40 weeks, 3 million in 50 weeks of launching the company, in ARR, which I think is pretty powerful to be able to say that we have a killer roster there. But it's really just realizing that, look, it's quite often we'd hand leads over to clients and like, hey, you got some solid leads. Like, okay, cool, thank you. And then they come back to us next on our next weekly sync, and they go, oh, I just can't get these people to respond. And we look at the records, we're like, well, it took you about 2 days to respond. It took you about a day to respond. It took you about a week to respond. And now you're following up, you're playing catch up. Of course you missed this opportunity, right? And so we saw this over and over and over again. So it was built out of necessity to be able to help fill that. We dove into it more. I mean, my passion wasn't really fixing this issue. I think I saw a massive opportunity to be able to provide a solution that fixes this issue. But there's a lot that goes into that. So that's then ask me what the challenges in doing that. It is tough to be able to take a company and split it up at this point, and then walk away from a multi-million-dollar agency to go to something that has very little in MRR compared to what the agency is doing, but believing in the long run and the vision and gambling on that, right? That's a mental mind shift that makes it a little harder, but what it allows you to do is it is hyper focus. I think my ideation on being able to go really deep to the product and what its capabilities are allows me to move a lot faster, right? I'm focused on one thing. I'm not focused going really deep. I'm not focused on 10,000 different things that typically happen in a lead gen agency. I think one podcast, I'm a big fan of YC. I've been a part of a few YC companies, and I watch Michael Siebel's podcast from YC. And one thing that really resonated earlier on, this is about a year ago, great podcast. If you look at any stuff with YC, you give it a lot of value there too. But it's like, in the world of AI, grab something and just go really, 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 really deep. You have a business, and it's going to be a very short-lived window. I think, especially as AI evolves. I would probably actually maybe disagree with that. I think that window is bigger than we think, but I'm sure in his eyes with YC, obviously that for what they're looking for, maybe that window is a little short-lived. But I think there's a world of endless amount of opportunities in the AI space. But that's the thing. Just grab one thing and just go very, very, very deep.
So speaking about AI, a lot of people, I think most people's exposure to AI is probably ChatGPT, and they may mess around a little bit and kind of use it like Google. Where do you think B2B sales and the utilization of AI is heading over the next few years?
I think my biggest realization, look, Scott, this is the first time I'm able to go, hey, I have a team of developers. And I go, hey, I have this idea. Can we do it? And the first time I heard it, I was like, yeah, we can. Cool. Okay. Next, I have this other idea. Can we do it? Like, yeah, done. I have this other idea. Can we do it? Yeah, done. Then it becomes like, you got to stop with all the ideas, because sometimes you got to validate these ideas, so you can't go too crazy with it. I think one of my biggest realizations was anything is possible. Anything is possible. There's nothing that's impossible for what you want to achieve. Like, we're able to reply promptly and scan your calendar, share that availability, then put that meeting on your calendar. And then if somebody responds back, let's say, hey, like, I don't handle this, I reach out to Joe Schmo, and you don't include Joe Schmo in the CC, or you don't include it in the email address in the email, it's going to go back and ask for that information. But then if you include that information or get that information, RevReply is going to grab that email, forward it, then summarize the thread and forward to Joe Schmo. Say, hey, Joe Schmo, Scott told me to reach out to you. I wanted to see if you want to talk about X, Y, and Z. We'll love to book a meeting. Do you have this day and time available? This day and time available. Like, do you understand, like, the lift? That's something so simple, but it is not easy to do. Nobody is able to do this. We are, right? But it took us a long time to figure this out. But thanks to the role of AI, that's possible, right? So I think that the world's your oyster. That's why when I was talking about like Michael Sealing going very deep on this thing, you could get really pretty much get anything that you want done if you put your mind to it. And I think that's a beautiful part. That's what I love for people to know, because it's all possible.
Yeah. Hey, where do you think there are opportunities missed in this, in your space, in the industry, for most companies to think about, especially if they're thinking about using some kind of service like yours? What do you think they're missing? Or where are the opportunities?
So there's two. One is on that delegated feature, because if you think about it, like the top two responses that you get as when you do an email campaign, I just say, right? Typically what? People tell you piss off or no thanks, right? If they want to be nice about it. And usually, I think people do that actually for better reasons than what most people think. I think people just have a sense of courtesy that do that. But some people just understand like, hey, in order to get this to stop, I want to just say no thanks, so they know this is a sequence. And then you got the one-offs that really usually stand out. The rare ones who are like, where'd you get my information? Don't you dare, depends if you're in like Europe. And then obviously, you're going to deal with GDPR, all these other things, right? Like there's a lot of opportunity there. And a lot of people just shy away from those. There's actually a study done not too long ago, 2024, that showed that they actually tracked 2,700 plus SDRs. The study is on our site, RevReply.com. If people want to check out, there's a lot of studies on this. But they measured how many SDRs actually respond to people who say no thanks. They found less than 5% of people, less than 5% of SDRs ever respond to no thanks. But the big but, that 2 to 4% of those actually turn into opportunities. Think about that for a second. So that means 2 to 4 out of 100 people who tell you no thanks, if you just respond and acknowledge their no thanks by saying, awesome, thank you. Here's a one pager just in case you're ever interested. Now, we'd love to connect you with you on LinkedIn, like whatever it may be. Or, hey, how about here's an incentive. If you're not looking to book a meeting with a $100 Amazon gift card, get you to book, and one more last touch point, 2 to 4% of those will turn to opportunities. So if you have a high value ticket, definitely worth it. If you're passing up on that, you're passing up opportunities. And that's just one of many things. That's why we built RevReply. That's just one of many ways we can move the needle. What's obviously, like if you're like highly transactional, might not be of similar value, but still worth it. But I think it's a few things. One, it's common courtesy. People are going to see your name and your company one more time before you shake hands as friends and move on. And if you're going to remember somebody, you're going to remember the person who replied to you no thanks, or the person who just ignored you when you said no thanks, right?
Yeah,
This is
that makes sense.
it's common sense, right? And the other part that I think people just forget about, like, especially for our lead gen companies out there, is deliverability. Deliverability is really critical, right? Like in the world of where deliverability is very, very, very delicate subject right now. If you have one more exchange, how much more better is your delivery going to be? Nobody's going to mark you as spam for acknowledging you no thanks and being nice. So, and we've seen a lot of these. We actually track all this, right? We see a lot of these. We see millions upon millions upon millions of emails. But we see these turn like, oh, actually, I didn't know you offered that. Let's talk. We've seen that happen. We've seen people, hey, I want to circle back to us. We've seen this happen, right? Like, hey, I want to circle back. I remember getting your email. We're ready now. Just that timing wasn't right. So that's a huge area of opportunity that people just let slip beneath them. And I think is very foolish also.
Yeah. What challenges are you facing, or what's keeping you up at night as you're building out your business?
Feeding the team, I do think a lot about our team. I think I'm a big fan of, done a decent amount of podcasts. And one thing I've always believed in my entire career, I still believe more and more every day, it's all about the people and rhythm. I think if you have the right rhythm, and you have the right people in that rhythm, you could do anything, you could achieve anything. And so that keeps me up at night, because I always wonder, do I have the right rhythm with the team? Do we have the right people? How can we get more of the right people? How can we encourage and embrace their skill sets and help them grow? The old Tony Robbins mindset, if you don't grow, you die, right? So I think it's really important. So like, I think those kind of things really is honestly what keeps me up at night, is like, I want to make sure the team's taken care of, because I know if I could take care of them, that they'll take care of the company. And I always want to make sure, other than that, just cracking the code, like figuring out how many different ways we could actually improve performance. I am very, very, very passionate about sales performance. I absolutely love sales performance, kick out of it. So what else can we do to move the needle forward? Those shower thoughts, or those, get up in the middle of the night and jot down a quick, little, quick note or run to the laptop and jotting them down, or a voice note. Done that a lot, and that's usually doesn't. I guess that doesn't keep me up at night. That's what wakes me up in the middle of the night. So pretty much the
Yeah,
same thing.
yeah, gotcha. Yeah, very good. So, how can people find you or reach out to you?
Yeah, RevReply.com. Feel free to ping me in any shape or form you like. Ramsey at RevReply.com. Pretty responsible for the most part. Don't send me a cheesy AI email. You're more likely to get a better response. Maybe note this podcast and pick something of value, and you'll probably get a hold of me if you want to sell me something. But other than that, I'm more than happy to help with talk shop or anything like that at all. As you could tell, hopefully, that I'm very passionate about this subject and this matter. And if I could give any help to anybody, we're very, very transparent with our information and share a lot. So knowledge is power, and sharing is even better.
Great. Well, hey, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Scott. Really appreciate having me.
Great talking to you, Ramsey. All
Thank you.
right.
Thanks.